What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from June 30th, 2021. Wow. What are my thoughts on this episode of Dynamite overall? I thought this was a really good show. MJF and Sammy Guevara absolutely killed it in the main event. I think it was a really awesome show. In my opinion, the only downfall of the show was the match involving Nyla Rose, Vickie, Guerrero, Britt Baker, and Reba. But aside from that, I think this was a really good show. Yes, I know I did not do a Dynamite review last week, but I did catch up with the show. I did watch Kenny Omega versus Jungleboy. Absolutely awesome match. The atmosphere was really awesome. I really enjoyed the atmosphere in the match to the point where there were some points in the match that I actually thought that Jungleboy was actually going to be winning the title, but apparently that's not going to happen. Not only that, we also got our first little glimpse of the build-up for Hangman and Page versus Kenny Omega, most likely happening at All Out. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that later on in this review. But of course, this is AEW Dynamite. Not only that, this is the last show at Daly's Place. And, you know, they're going back on the road next week, so that's going to be a really awesome thing to see. I'm actually extremely excited that they're going to be finally back on the road. Of course, next week we got Rad Rager, so that's going to be an awesome show. They run down the entire card throughout this show. Of course, we got a strap match with Cody and QT Marshall and a lot of other great matches, so I cannot wait to see what goes down at Rad Rager. And also, not only that, and I keep saying not only that a lot, my bad, it's just a common thing with me. We're finally back on Wednesdays. AEW's finally back on Wednesdays. I hated the fact that AEW had all of these freaking preemptions throughout the entire month of June. We're now in July. I'm so happy that they're back at their normal time slot on Wednesday nights on TNT. It's going to be awesome to see. And for the next few months, especially when it comes to the AEW side of things, there's going to be a lot of things going on. Of course, we got Rampage that is going to be coming up. I am extremely excited what they're going to be doing with Rampage. I hope they have a different look for Rampage. I hope they get everything different when it comes to Rampage and a lot of other stuff. And of course, we got All Out, so that's going to be a great show to see. But let's get down with Dynamite, right? All right, so the show starts with Chris Jericho coming out. Of course, he was on commentary, and one of the highlights throughout the entire pandemic was the fact that Chris Jericho was on commentary for some shows, not all of them, some shows. And I'm not going to lie, I actually really enjoy Chris Jericho on commentary. He's really entertaining to listen to, and he's just hilarious. And, of course, the crowd sings Judas. But our first match of the evening is Eddie Kingston and Penta El Cerro versus Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, in an eliminator match but an eliminator match. And if Eddie Kingston and Penta win, they get a shot at the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks. We've been seeing different variations of this match constantly, and I do not know why. This feels very WWE-esque because we've seen a lot of these guys wrestle in the same matches for the past few weeks, but I'm not going to lie, though. These guys, they always wrestle really good matches. Of course, Penta is an amazing wrestler, same as his brother Phoenix. And Eddie Kingston, what can you say about Eddie Kingston? He is the best on the microphone. And of course, the Young Bucks, the greatest tag team in modern history of wrestling. Yes, I said that. Get mad at me, Marks. But let's get down to the match. So the match starts. We get a couple double team attempts by Penta and Kingston. We get a pin attempt by Kingston and a near fall. Kingston works on Matt. We get a slam by Kingston on Matt after that. Penta drops on Matt in the nuts, kind of like the Dudley Boys. That was hilarious. Cover by Kingston and a near fall. We get a kick by Penta. Penta tags in. We get a clothesline and an enziguri combo by both Bucks on Pentagon. Nick tags in, works on Penta. Matt tags in. Both Bucks work on Penta after that. We get a cover by Matt, near fall. Nick tags in. Penta escapes. We get a tilt-a-world backbreaker on Matt on the outside by Penta. We get a crossbody by Penta. Kingston tags in, works on both Bucks in each corner. We get a fisherman suplex in the corner by Kingston. We get a near fall kick by Kingston. Matt sends Kingston to the outside. We get an exploder by Kingston on the outside. Kick by Nick Jackson. Double senton made by the Bucks on the outside on Kingston. We got a stomp by Nick. Matt tags in, works on Kingston, kicks to the back of Kingston by both Bucks. Chops by Kingston. We get a running knee by Nick Jackson. Matt tags in, repeated right hand on Kingston. Kingston escapes Matt Jackson after that. He goes to the top, works on Nick to the top with a couple headbutts. So Eddie Kingston's going for them headbutts right now. That was actually really cool. Superplex by Kingston. We get the hot tag made by both teams after that. Penta works on both Bucks. We got a thrust kick by Penta. DDT on Nick Jackson. We get a corkscrew code red by Pentagon, which was a really awesome spot. I really like that spot in the match. Cover and a near fall, even though it was a 3. So you kind of see a little bit of bias when it comes to Rick Knox. Of course, he has a history with the Young Bucks. Beautiful springboard Hurricane Rana by Nick Jackson. That was a really awesome spot. The Hurricane Rana just hit beautifully. That's all I could say. Works on Penta in the corner. We got a thrust kick by Penta, a German suplex by Kingston. We got a cover by Penta, near fall when Matt interferes, diving crossbody on Matt Jackson on the ramp on Kingston. We got a thrust kick by Penta on Nick Jackson. Nick misses a super kick, switches by both, low blow by Nick. Diving foot stomps on Penta. We get a cover into near fall when Kingston comes in for the save. The Good Brothers come in after that. We got a couple chops by Kingston. We get an exploder by Kingston after that. Superplex by Matt. Kingston no sells. The referee at this point is distracted. Brandon Cutler by accident sprays Matt Jackson, which was crazy. Kazarian comes in and attacks the Good Brothers. Penta throws himself on the Good Brothers. Package pile driver, a.k.a. the Fear Factor, on the Young Bucks. Kingston and Penta are now the number 1 contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. What are my thoughts on this match? I really enjoyed this match. This match was a really good opener when it comes to Dynamite. And when it comes to AEW Dynamite, they always deliver in the opening match. It's not like in WWE where you have an opening segment to start off the show. AEW always starts their weekly show very, very hot, and that's what I really enjoyed about this match. This match was really awesome to see, especially near the end. Of course, there was a lot of interferences going on, which, yeah, you can kind of go, all right, but hey, at least there was no disqualification. Like, if this was in WWE, this match would have ended in a disqualification. I guarantee you that. But this was a really good match to see. Christian Cage is backstage with Jungleboy. Cage states that he's proud of him. It says that he can take this loss and learn something. It says that he's going to be champion one day, and then Luchasaurus comes in, introduces himself, and then both Christian Cage and Luchasaurus have a little bit of a talk. What are my thoughts on this segment? Christian Cage, of course, is being a little bit nice. Everybody's teasing that. I feel like everybody's honestly assuming that he's eventually going to be turning heel on Jungleboy, and we're probably going to be getting a match with Christian Cage and Jungleboy at All Out in September. I do think that's going to be the case. Of course, Christian Cage is one of those wrestlers that flips between being a babyface and a heel. I do see Christian Cage turning heel in the future. We get Tony Schiavone interviewing Ethan Page. So he explains why he challenged Darby Allin to a coffin match. Says what he's been doing is not enough. He tells the crowd to shut up and says his goal is not to beat Darby Allin, but to exterminate Darby Allin. Nobody in the company tried. Says he threw him down the stairs and he threw him in the crowd at Double or Nothing, and he still came back. Even in the independents, he kicked his ass. He says that the coffin match will cripple him mentally, and says that he's going to beat him in this coffin match. Says that every time he goes to the top to hit the coffin drop, he's going to be thinking of Ethan Page. And then after that, Sting comes out, and then he comes out with the coffin with wheels, and what happens? Darby Allin comes out of the coffin and attacks Ethan Page. He targets the eyes of Ethan Page. Ethan grabs the mic and says, of course he did that, so the match is canceled because he cannot beat him. And says that he needs to sign a document that he cannot touch him until Fyter Fest. So we're going to be, instead of getting the match at Rad Rager, we're going to be getting the match at Fyter Fest, which, okay, we're going to be getting the match at Fyter Fest. Fine. I don't know why they did that, but hey, it is what it is. Great. A lot of people are saying it's because they're doing a coffin match and Road Rager is going to be in Miami, and you guys know what happened in Miami, that really a terrible thing that happened in Miami. I hope everybody that was affected by that tragedy is okay, but pretty reasonable thing. Why? So that's a good decision on AEW's behalf to move the match to Fyter Fest, because we're going to be getting Road Rager and then Fyter Fest for the next 2 weeks after Road Rager, and then we're going to get Fight for the Fall. So yeah. Jericho plugs his new book on commentary after that. And then we get our next matchup of the evening. We got Jungleboy versus Jack Evans. This was an okay match. It was not the longest match in the world, but it is what it is. Both lock up. We got a side headlock by Jungle Boy. We got a takedown by both. Jungle Boy tries to apply the snare trap. Evans escapes. Jungle Boy misses a drop kick. Kick by Evans on Jungle Boy. We got an arm drag by Jungle Boy. We got a drop kick by Jungle Boy after that. Evans works on Jungle Boy during the commercial break. We got an elbow by Jungle Boy. A couple chops by Jungle Boy after that. Drop kick by Jungle Boy. We get a clothesline by Jungle Boy after that. Then Evans hits a kick on Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy goes to the top. Evans misses a German suplex from the top, which was crazy. And then after that, Jungle Boy hits a drop kick in the corner and applies the snare trap on Jack Evans and taps out. Jungle Boy wins this match. But what happens after that? Matt Hardy comes out. And what happens? They try to attack Jungle Boy, but Christian Cage comes in to make the save. He drops Hardy. He takes the jacket on Hardy and just drives it to the face of Matt Hardy after that. Evans comes in, but Cage attacks him as well. And yeah, Christian Cage comes in for the save. What are my thoughts? It was an okay match. Of course, this is coming off the heels of Jungle Boy's best match ever, I would say, with Kenny Omega. That was a really good match to see. I really enjoyed that match. Yeah, but this match, it was an okay match. It was not the longest match in the world, but it was not the best match in the world, but hey, it is what it is. All right. We get a backstage segment with the Salt of the Earth, MJF, of course, the leader of the Pinnacle. Says that he out-wrestled Chris Jericho. Says that he out-kinged Chris Jericho. Says he turned AEW into Looney Tunes. Says he decided to attack him on interviews. Says he is the joke. And says that he used to be cool. He used to be a wrestling genius. And says next week he will name the stipulation for a future match that they will have. And then begins to talk about Sammy Guevara. And he states this line. And he states that he basically asks the viewer, who is the future? And he says Sammy Guevara is the future. But then he instantly yells that he is the now. So MJF, of course, typical MJF promo, but you got to love MJF's character. I mean, MJF is one of those wrestlers that are really good on the microphone. Not only that, you believe what they're saying, mainly because of the fact that he keeps kayfabe alive, and that's just MJF's character. He keeps kayfabe alive, and that's what I really enjoy about MJF. All right, we get an interview with Andrade El Idolo. Of course, he talks about how Matt Sydal interrupted him and says that he will make an example out of him. And then he said, Road Rager, next week, he challenges Matt Sydal into a match. So next week, we're going to be getting Andrade versus Matt Sydal, a.k.a. Evan Bourne, at Road Rager next week. I'm excited to see. Of course, this is Andrade's very first in-ring match, his in-ring debut in AEW. He's going to be making his in-ring debut next week at Road Rager. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. Of course, you've seen a lot of his work in WWE and in NXT. Really awesome wrestler. This match is going to be really good to see. Of course, Tony Schiavone. Once again, Tony Schiavone is interviewing everybody. He's literally teleporting everywhere. It's the funniest thing ever. Tony Schiavone is interviewing the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega, right off the heels after, of course, his win against Jungle Boy on Saturday. So he comes out with the mustache, and I forgot to mention this, but the Young Bucks earlier in the beginning of the show came out, and Tony Schiavone said this on commentary. They looked like 80s porn stars. That was the funniest thing that he said. And he comes out with mutton chops, and a lot of people were making the comparison that he looks like Triple H from 2005. That was the funniest thing ever. So he talks about how Tony asked him about how he sets his goals, and Tony's like, I did not ask that. Says he woke up as a king today, and says that he not only defeated the greatest high flyer in AEW, but he defeated the greatest up-and-coming star in Jungle Boy. Then he says he wants to take a chunk of time off and says that he has more titles and you can just catch him there. No, everybody just wants to watch you in AEW. That's just me. Look, Impact is awesome, and everybody's going to be watching Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega. I do think that match is going to be really awesome to see. It's going to be a really fun match to watch. But like weekly, when it comes to like television, there's just too much wrestling on television. I don't watch, all the other. I don't watch it. I don't watch Impact as much as I did like in the beginning when this whole Forbidden Door storyline started. I'm gonna be honest. I only stick by the pay-per-views. But yeah. He said he says he has more titles and you can catch him there. And then after that, the Dark Order comes out, and then Evil Uno basically asks him if he has more challengers. And Evil Uno basically thinks differently, and he's stating there is one challenger that is the number one ranked competitor in AEW, and everybody knows who that is. Of course, it is Hangman Adam Page. And Omega states that if that is the person that you're talking about, he doesn't have the guts to face Kenny Omega, and he basically verbally owns Kenny. He verbally owns whoever he's talking about. Of course, he's talking about Hangman Adam Page. But yeah, I mean, they're already starting to build Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. When I first saw this live on TNT, I was like, I feel like it's a little too early. But then I came to the realization, but Hangman and Omega have a lot of chemistry together. First off, dating back to the beginning of AEW. Not only that, they have a lot of history before AEW. And of course, they were former tag team champions. They won at the Chris Jericho Cruise last year at Dynamite. Of course, these guys have a lot of history, and I feel like the reason why they're starting this build a little bit early is because they want to have a big fight feel when it comes to their match, because most likely their match is going to be happening at All Out. All Out is going to be happening in the beginning, like right at the beginning of September, and it's already July. So, I mean, they have 2 months to build this matchup, and I think it's going to be really good to see. Of course, this is a pure example of WWE. I'm not WWE. I feel like I'm Jim Ross right now. It's going to be a pure example of AEW doing long-term storytelling, and that's the important thing, and that's what I really enjoy. So it's going to be great to see that. Brian Pillman Jr. backstage. He's talking about Miro attacking Griff Garrison. He says that he's nothing but a big bully. He says that he's nothing but a big Bulgarian bitch. Damn. All right, let's get it on, because I really want to get to Sammy Guevara versus MJF. Brian Pillman Jr. versus Miro for the TNT Championship. So the match starts. We got a couple right hands by Pillman, chops by Pillman by Miro. Miro drops Pillman. We got a kick by Miro. Right hand by Miro. Kick by Miro onto the chest of Pillman. Suplex by Miro. We got a fall away slam by Miro. Springboard dropkick by Pillman. Pillman drop kicks Miro on the outside. Right hand by Pillman on Miro on the outside. Springboard clothesline by Pillman. We get a cover and a 1 count, so that's crazy. Thrust kick by Pillman. We get a second kick by Pillman after that. Pillman misses and Miro hits a roundhouse kick. Then we get another kick by Miro. Miro applies the camel clutch. He drives that clutch onto Brian Pillman after that. Pillman passes out and Miro retains the TNT Championship. What are my thoughts? Of course, Miro is going to win this match. I feel like I said this before on previous reviews. They're definitely going to go the WWE route, what they did with Rusev when he held the United States title back in like 2014, where he's going to have this really, really long run. They're going to build somebody from the mid card, of course. I call it the mid card. Of course, Cody Rhodes does not like the word mid card, but it is what it is. They're going to build up somebody that can take the title off of Miro, and that's what I really enjoy. Miro, of course, he's going to be holding on to that TNT Championship for a long period of time. I don't see him losing that belt anytime soon. The Dark Order and Hangman Adam Page backstage interview. Page comes in and confronts the Dark Order about what happens, and then they're basically saying, "Why are you mad about? It's your time right now." So they're basically cheering up Hangman and just saying, "Look, it's your time right now. We did this because we care about you." That's what I really enjoyed about this segment. So they're definitely building up to this match with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Am I excited? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be. Of course, I'm excited to see this match happen. I'm really excited to see what goes down. I do believe Omega is definitely losing the title. He's definitely. I said it in previous reviews. Hangman Adam Page is the one to beat Kenny Omega for the AEW World Title, and because the story is there, they were former tag team champions. Not only that, I mean, there's just a lot of history there with those guys, dating back to when they were in New Japan with Bullet Club, of course. So, yeah. So we're gonna see a lot of long-term storytelling, and we're gonna see some really good storytelling when it comes to both wrestlers. Team Taz backstage. Talk about Starks and Cage. Says that on July 14th, it's going to be Brian Cage defending the FTW Championship against Ricky Starks. Okay, awesome. Can't wait to see that. Fyter Fest, I mean, FTW title on the line. Apparently, it's an official championship now. It's been an official championship for a while, but, I mean, it is, but isn't. It is, but isn't. Sometimes it is what it is, but, he's going to be defending the FTW Championship against Ricky Starks, so that's going to be great to see. All right, Nyla Rose and Vickie Guerrero versus Britt Baker and Reba. In my opinion, I was not the biggest fan of this match. I wasn't a big fan of the fact that Vickie Guerrero was wrestling, considering the fact that this is something we would definitely see in WWE, because she wrestled in WWE, and of course she was never a wrestler. But like, I mean, I'm sorry, I was not a big fan of this. And not only that, Nyla Rose is going to be Britt Baker's first challenger, and I was kind of look, I was a big fan of Nyla Rose in the beginning, but I feel like they hadn't put her on TV for a long period of time to the point where it got me it got me really invested when it came to Nyla Rose, and I don't know, I'm just not feeling it when it comes to Nyla Rose as much as I used to. That's just me. But I did state earlier in my other reviews that Britt Baker is going to be holding on to that title for a long period of time. So, yeah. So the match starts. Reba and Guerrero start. Reba pushes Guerrero. Baker forearms Guerrero. We got a sleeper applied by Reba on Rose. Stomps on Baker. Rose drops Reba. Baker does not want to get tagged after that. We got a slam by Rose. Leg drop by Rose on Reba, not Rebel. We get a knee by Baker on the outside later on in the match. Roll up by Reba. Near fall. Baker tags in. We got a sling blade by Britt Baker. Baker escapes the beast bomb. We got a thrust kick by Baker. Baker grabs the gloves. She wants to apply the lockjaw, but doesn't. She fails to do so. We got a choke slam by Nyla Rose. And then he takes Baker to the ropes. Rose goes to the top and drops her with the knee. Cover, and Reba makes the save. Guerrero tags in. Baker takes Guerrero into the corner. Nyla drops outside the ring. Baker applies the lockjaw on Vickie Guerrero and taps out and wins the match. Of course, Baker is not going to be losing on television. She's the champion, and that's great to see. They should keep on doing that because Britt Baker is awesome at what she does. But yeah, after that, Nyla attacks Britt Baker after the match. Vickie grabs a table and she sets it up on the outside, and then Britt Baker gets powerbombed by Nyla Rose through the table. What are my thoughts? Yeah, so apparently Nyla Rose is going to be Britt Baker's first challenger. When they book that match, who do I think is going to win? Britt Baker's definitely retaining that title. I do not see Britt Baker losing the Women's Championship anytime soon. My assumption of someone who can take the title off of Britt Baker is someone like a Thunder Rosa. I would love to see a steel cage match with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, because the chemistry that both of those women have in the ring, sign me up. I will watch that match. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker inside a steel cage for the AEW Women's World Championship. I will be down for that. AEW book that later on. If it's going to be this year or next year, who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully we see a match something to that caliber like that. All right, Jake Hager and Santana and Ortiz backstage. They basically talk about FTR and Wardlow because they got a match next week at Rad Rager with FTR and Wardlow. So they just cut a promo. Of course, Santana and Ortiz are really good on the microphone. Jake Hager's not the greatest person. He's not the best speaker, but Santana, top notch. He knows how to cut a promo 100%. All right. I'm going to talk about the main event here. This is one match that I really enjoyed. MJF versus Sammy Guevara, two guys that are definitely going to be the future of AEW for the next 10 to 15 years. And Excalibur throughout this entire match was plugging the fact that these guys are the future of the company. You see that? You know, it goes to show you that WWE does not make new stars. And look, they got the future right in front of them. It's just that they don't utilize it because they don't want to. AEW focuses on the future. Yes, they sign a lot of ex-WWE guys, but the majority of the talent that they have, MJF and Sammy Guevara are two guys that are definitely built for the future. Guys like MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, who is a draw, and he is a proven draw, and of course Jungleboy. Like those four guys are going to set the tone for AEW for the next 5 years. They're definitely going to be World Championship caliber. So in the beginning of the match, of course, you know, the chemistry that MJF and Sammy Guevara have is really awesome. Of course, there was a lot of technical wrestling in the beginning to show you that these two actually have really good chemistry together. Not only that, they show off doing the flare dance, of course. So we get a knee strike by Guevara, a GTH missed by Guevara. We got a side headlock by Guevara. Technical wrestling, we get a bridge pin attempt, backslide by Guevara, then a backslide by MJF, back and forth pin attempts by both wrestlers, works on MJF in the corner. Sammy sends MJF headfirst on the turnbuckle. Sammy goes to the top. MJF escapes. MJF is on the outside. He gets back in the ring. We get a springboard cutter by Guevara. We get a roll-up by Guevara, a near fall after that. MJF sweeps the leg of Guevara to the apron, sends Guevara Sends Guevara to the apron. MJF works on Sammy during the break. Sammy fights back. Sammy tries to hit a drop kick on MJF, but gets caught in the ring skirt, and MJF attacks him. Springboard by Guevara, but MJF hits the Liger Bomb. We get a cover and a near fall. MJF takes Sammy to the top. Chops by Sammy, of course. Both are on the top. Sammy hits a Spanish fly on MJF, which looked awesome. Clotheslines by Guevara. High Enzuigiri by Guevara. A high kick from the top on MJF. Tornillo by Guevara on MJF on the outside. Then we get a springboard Canadian Destroyer. You guys know I love the Canadian Destroyer. So Guevara hits a Canadian Destroyer. We get a cover and a near fall. Elbow by MJF. Works on the arm of Guevara. Guevara gets sent to the rope. MJF grabs a chair. Guevara drop kicks MJF on the chair. Somersaults by Guevara. So he basically pulled a Sabu. Somersault by Guevara on the outside. After that, Guevara goes back in the ring, goes to the top. MJF grabs the rope, and Guevara drops on the top turnbuckle. MJF is on the top and hits a tombstone pile driver on Guevara from the top by MJF. Cover and a near fall. At this point, MJF is selling the knee. Inside cradle by Guevara, near fall. MJF targets the knee of Guevara while selling the knee. MJF tries to go for the pendulum pile driver, but gets sent by Guevara. Then we get a sunset flip, near fall, cover by MJF, but we get a near fall. Super kicks by Guevara, a GTH. Cover by MJF, but his foot was on the rope. No, cover by MJF's foot was on the rope. Sammy goes to the top. MJF is begging for Sammy not to hit the move from the top after that. Sammy hits the 630. We get a cover and a near fall, but Shawn Spears comes out of nowhere. Jericho comes out of commentary, but Wardlow attacks Jericho out of nowhere. Takes Jericho on the guardrail. Throws Jericho off the stage. Shawn Spears hits the chair on Sammy while the referee was not looking, so the referee got distracted once again. MJF covers Sammy and wins the match. What are my thoughts? Again, AEW knows how to make new stars. We haven't seen the last of MJF and Sammy Guevara. I do think that these guys are going to be wrestling many, many more matches for years to come. Phenomenal match. And I know I say the word phenomenal all the time, but like, come on, this was a really awesome match to see. Of course, it ended in interference and MJF went over in the match. They're definitely building MJF to be a main event guy. He's definitely going to be world champion by next year. I guarantee you that. Sammy Guevara, main event level guy, of course. Yeah, so this is a really good match. And of course, Excalibur mentioned that these are the two top future stars in AEW. And I loved how he kept on plugging that. Keep on plugging stuff like that because it goes to show you that AEW does make new stars and WWE does not. WWE really needs to start building the future because in 5 years you're not going to have a lot of legends as much as you do now. So, you know, they got to build for their future, and AEW is doing that, and that's what I really enjoy. And that's what I really enjoyed, not only about AEW, but that's what I really enjoyed about this match. This is a pure example of the future being shown. Then we get a video package of Dynamite in Jacksonville, a really good Dynamite video package in Jacksonville, of course, highlighting the pandemic era of AEW. Really awesome video package. And then at the end, JR calls AEW Dynamite, WWE Dynamite. That was hilarious. Of course, he's JR. I mean, he spent the majority of his career in WWE. Of course, he's going to make a mistake, but it is what it is. Well, that is that. Overall thoughts on Dynamite. I thought this was a really awesome show. MJF and Sammy Guevara absolutely killed it. Really awesome show to watch. I'm planning on going live when by SummerSlam, so let's hope everything goes well. But yeah, this is overall thoughts on Dynamite. This is a really good episode of Dynamite. And yeah, please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that notification, push that bell for notification. I keep botching that. And follow me on social media on Instagram and Twitter. And this is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast. Signing out.